Billy is finally here in Deadlock, and I've got my day one build guide ready to go for this new hero. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and I've got a build for Billy that I have not seen out there yet. And as soon as I saw this character, I knew this was the kind of build I wanted to make. And this is going to be a chain gang ult build for Billy. So, I think when everyone sees this character, they see the obvious, first choice. A lot of combos, a lot of melees, run in, bash, do all those things. But when I saw this character, I saw a crowd-controlled demon who can get in, pull a large number of the enemy team out, and then set them up to be killed by your team. So, the emphasis on this build is going to be crowd control, getting in with your ult, maximizing ability range to get as many people in the ult as possible, and then kind of playing almost like a more tanky debuff support role. So, this is very work in progress, but this is the build. I kind of want to talk through it, my theory behind it, all that good stuff. I don't think I need to do an ability preview. I'm sure everyone has probably seen Billy by this point, so I'm just going to get right into the build. If you haven't seen him yet, there's some good videos out there that show that off. So, I start off with monster rounds and sprint boots because those two things are going to build into cultist and trophy collector. And they're just two solid early game items. You get some sprint speed, you get some out of combat regen. Monster rounds is just a, always has been, always probably will be a goated early game item. So then from here is where the order of this, I think, is subject. So you're going to have more than just 2 buys by the time you get ult. So we're not looking for the Mystic expansion yet. We're going to go on ult, by the way. What's up, Atlas? So this is where you could go for an early cold front. That's probably the direction I would look to go most games. You could go Guardian Ward, just to go ahead and either be able to give that to a teammate, give that to yourself. In any case, we're going to look for these 4 items to start. I put Healbane in here as well, because more often than not, I think you're going to want the healing reduction, and that seems like it could be something that gets pretty annoying for Billy to deal with, and it gives you some nice spirit power. Healbane, always a good item. So this is what our early game looks like, and by this time, you'll have some upgrades. I'll get into the ability order here in a second. It's pretty predictable, though. We maximize ult first, and then we get into the mid-game. The mid-game, and how I would play this, is I would survive lane. You're going to spend 7,200 on these early items. That's about the laning phase, maybe a little bit. You might still be in lane by that time. I would look to get Cultist as soon as you can. One, just to help him, kind of stay competitive as far as farm goes, kind of get you ready for the late game. 2, it has some really good stuff for you. This is all stuff that really does help Billy scale quite a bit. So I would look to get that. Next up, you're going to want, I think, Trophy Collector and Torment Pulse. Trophy Collector, very similar, very, kind of standard idea here. We want to slowly throughout the game scale ability range to the point in the late game where it's really, really devastating. We like everything that the Trophy Collector gives us. We get sprint speed, we get bonus health, we obviously get souls, right? So I think Trophy Collector is a good buy. And Billy's going to be in the fray. Once you have these 2 items, and in particular once you have Torment Pulse, which I think people understand why we're getting Torment Pulse here, right? I will take that off because that's going to be annoying. Torment Pulse is just going to help you when you go in. I mean, Billy wants to be in close. Even though we're playing an ult build, we're still going to do elements of what his kit offers. We're going to be, charging in. We're going to be meleeing. It's just going to not be quite as powerful in the early to mid game as it would be if you were aggressively upgrading these abilities and buying punch items, things like that, right? So by this time, 15k, you are ready to scale and ready to fight. You've got Torment Pulse. You've got Cultist, maybe you get that up, you get the 15% ability range right away, you get 20% from this. So now all of a sudden in the mid-game, your ult should be able to do quite a bit. If we look at the ability order really quick here, I want to kind of be able to talk about that some. This is not a great way to show this off, but basically we do go max ult first, and then we're just looking to kind of go through a few different elements of the build, right? We go bash down first, and we're going to get our blasted to where it helps with the bash down. Then we go full charge, last one on blasted, and then we finish out bash down. Reasoning behind this is, again, the emphasis is the ult. But we also want our charge to be as good as possible. We want that to be as beneficial as possible to us because that is potentially one of our engage tools. So now we get into the late game, and where I think this is where I think there's some flexibility here. This is still very work in progress, by the way. Only tested in a bot game. So there's a lot of different ways we want to set up the ult. That is, I think, the core part. Once you get through the mid-game, you are going to be looking to set up big ultimates for Billy, pull people out of fights, get them set up. Maybe you have a B-bot, maybe you have someone else you can pull them into to deal some burst damage. That's what we're looking to do. So, a few different ways we can do this. You could go for Vortex Web. That definitely is a way to do it, right? So you get ability range. You obviously can throw something down, and that will keep people in a certain spot. You can kind of throw it at your feet in the middle of a battle, maybe, and then ult, or you could throw it in, charge in, ult. There's a lot of different things you can do with Vortex Web. I'm excited to see this get used maybe more and more on Billy, and more as an item in general. I think this item's a little bit underrated right now by the community at large. Another thing you could do is Majestic Leap. You could go for a leap build where you leap in, and ult. And that's a great way to kind of capture people in the chains, and then you start to get them out right away, right? A lot of different ways you can go about doing this, but at the end of the day, that is what we're looking to do in the mid game, is set up those ults, start to get you some stacks on Trophy Collector, all that kind of good stuff. So that's kind of why we go for Rising Ram. I have it covered up right now, but basically this is just helping you to do a little bit more on impact, because we do want to finish those kills when we bring people in. And that's where we go for here. I'm covering this up with my big fat face, but essentially this is 100 spirit damage on pull. You get unstoppable already at max level. You get some spirit resist, bullet resist. All that's kind of baked into upgrading Chain Gang. And so that's where we don't have a lot of bullet and spirit resist here. That is also where these items come into play. That's why they're here in this spot. I would just use this reactively as the other team is doing their thing. That way you know what to do. But yeah, late game, we're going to go for Spirit Burn. I think Vortex Web should be core on this. Divine Barrier is just an upgrade from Guardian Ward, going to give you a little bit more ability range and just going to be a little bit stronger of a barrier. And then Arctic Blast. Both of these not necessarily priority pieces, because again, we're already down. You know, we have 3 flex slots left. We're limited on money. We have no resistances yet. Like, the build is pretty stacked already. So this is a point in the game where you could look, you know, if you're at the 28k mark, you're entering into the late game. You're certainly, I mean, you're in the late game. This is where you could maybe sell Mystic Expansion, especially if you have some stacks and you feel like your ult radius is already big enough. It's kind of something you have to play by ear. But I mean, looking at this is where we talk about, and this is why I think ability range is so important on this build, is because look at everything it's giving you. You obviously have, you know, everything with within your kit. So your Chain Gang is going to go up. Your cast range for your bash down is going to go up. There's just a lot of benefit, right, that this is going to give you. It's going to help if you have Arctic Blast, it's going to make it bigger. It's going to make your Torment Pulse bigger. It's going to make your Explosion Radius bigger on your Spirit Burn. It's going to make your Vortex Web bigger. There's just a lot of things in an AoE kind of circular kind of way that this build's trying to do. And so with builds like that, we want as much ability range as we can. So I'll go ahead and buy these just for sake of showing off what it looks like at full build. This is already, though, at 37k build. So this is why, again, I really think I may even put these down in the situational section, because these are not core in the sense of, like, I wouldn't rush them. These really are things I would get later on in the build if possible. And I would try and focus on having some other things here first. I would think things to set up the build, so like, or the ult rather, so maybe a Majestic Leap, maybe a Plated Armor, and maybe you go ahead and get Spirit Snatch just to have some punch. I put these two here because inevitably you are going to be punching in this build. I mean, this is a hell of a melee character, right? So you're going to have that. So those are there as options for you, right? So within the build, though, this is what it looks like. So you could do this a lot of different ways, right? Let's say this is what Vortex Web, by the way, looks like currently at max build. This is going to be a huge area for you to be able to grab people. So you can grab, and then your ult, this is the radius. So huge ult, right? And that should be pretty easy for you to use. You're going to be Torment Pulsing. You're going to be able to Arctic Blast too. The Arctic Blast is huge. I mean, I can hit him from all the way over here, right? So I hope you're seeing the vision with this build. If I can, I will get some gameplay to throw in here as well, or maybe I'll throw in some different Billy gameplay down the line. But this is currently the work in progress Billy Chain Gang ult, pretty much as you're going to see it. Again, there's different ways you could do to set up the ult. I have 4 actives on here. That might be too many for some people. It's probably honestly too many for me. So you could shave down some of those. That's where you could maybe go away from, I don't know, maybe like going away from a Vortex Web as a setup tool, and maybe just going instead for Majestic Leap. That's certainly something you could do, save some money, right? Like, there are definitely options here to do that, to reduce actives, all kinds of things like that. I will put the build guide in the video, but here it is right here, 287624. This is one that I have been, I will keep working on. I'm very excited about, but all in all, I'm just hoping to get some games on Billy. I'm sure, like the rest of you, the queuing has been maddening. I still don't even have a game on Mina, and I've been queuing and playing a decent bit. So I just want to be able to play these heroes. Hopefully, as more come out, we're going to be able to. But let me know what you think of this build. Let me know if there's any changes you would make. It's very work in progress. I recognize it's not perfect, so let me know if there's some items you think I should consider, and I'll definitely consider them, honestly. But that is going to do it here in Deadlock for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And from our house to yours, we'll see you all next time.